leaders sharing how they grow. Stories behind success. Real voices with the real stories next. Evansville rising, Southern Indiana strong. Making our region where businesses belong. Stories behind success.
Welcome back to the Krohn Cast. With me today is a very, very special guest. It is the lead pastor at the Hills, also my pastor, Daryl Marin. Daryl, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dylan. I don't know about super special guests, but we'll see as this thing gets going how special I really become.
AI put that in there.
Okay, yes, that makes more sense.
Makes more sense. But of all the guests that we've had so far and all that we will have, I will say you are probably the most influential person and probably favorite guest I think we'll probably have on the show.
I don't think so.
I would agree with that.
We have CEOs, presidents, entrepreneurs, but I don't think anybody probably has the reach that you do, because on Sunday service, I looked at For the Record, and I think you have 2,500 in person, roughly 300 or 400 online, maybe more. So you're over 3,000 people a week.
All that proves is there's 3,000 people with bad judgment. That's all.
But they keep coming back and look week to week.
Repeat offenders are a bad deal. I mean, that doesn't prove anything. There are people who eat Little Debbie's every day. That doesn't make them health fanatics.
Not me. No.
I'm the Little Debbie guy.
I'm the Reese's guy. Sam's hates to see me coming. So before we get into the first question, I want to touch on like how big the church has grown. So you started in 2018 with 300 people, and we are now one of the fastest growing churches in the Midwest with over 3,000 people. That is very impressive in a day and age where I feel like the church is not growing as much in person and is more so probably growing online. I just think it's incredible to see that our little city of Evansville has one of the fastest growing churches. So
I would say there's a lot of factors there, right? So I think the church gets a lot of credit. Right, church is not really one person. It's a body of a huge group of people doing some amazing work. What makes it unique is the people that come there, not the staff that works there, not the person and or the chain of command or anything that works like that. It really comes down to the people we have there. They represent Evansville, right? They represent what we believe, how we want to live it out, and it's super easy to feel at home. Real
very
quick.
Easy. Yeah.
Right. So the church grew, but it didn't grow because I'm doing or we're doing, the staff's doing anything different than any other church is doing. Our people are doing a lot of the legwork. There's a lot of ownership on the first-time guests. There's a lot of ownership on the person who's coming for the third time, and just living life. I mean, that's the fun part. Yeah. You get to be fully yourself, fully broken, fully honest, and fully available to God at the same time, and let God do His thing.
Yeah. So the first time I came, it was probably a couple of years ago with my wife, and I mean, and you saw all walks of life coming in, and everybody was worshiping and having a good time together, and nobody knows a stranger in there. So it's one of the most welcoming churches, and if you haven't gone, check it out. Daryl's basically a comedian up there.
No. Daryl's a donkey that Jesus chooses to use. So, I mean, that's the God's honest truth. It's, it's not a personality driven, right? Jesus gets the credit for everything happening. If I take credit for the increase, when something goes wrong, I have to take credit for the decrease too. So we don't always have 3,000 people, right? And that's not, you can say, hey, we did this, we came up with this, we're the fastest growing this. Somebody's always got their niche and their title, right? You can't rest on that.
Yeah.
Right. My goal is to reach as many people as we can before we get to heaven. That's it. So if that means that we're fastest growing, awesome. If that means I'm the slowest growing, but we're still, I didn't pray, that the Lord be big. I prayed that the church would be effective. Right. And so that's it. So I don't care if we're big. I want to be effective.
You're effective. I have not fallen asleep at church. So
again, that doesn't mean I'm a good preacher. You might just have really bad discernment.
Yeah. The morning coffee, I get it. The caffeine. Yeah. All right, so the first question I want to get into is how you got into ministry. So most people don't wake up one day and just go, I'm going to be a pastor.
Yeah, I didn't wake up one day wanting to be a pastor either. I went on my first mission trip when I was 18. Graduating high school, my dad had just passed away. And my graduation present from my parents was to, go on this mission trip to Haiti. When I was in Haiti, I really felt, like this is cool. This is kind of fun, working with kids and helping there. And one night, man, in the weirdest of all places, I felt God really speak to me. I don't really know how to say it. People say that God speaks to them all the time, and I'm not really one of those people. I feel like maybe twice in my life I've really heard God speak clearly to my heart, and that was one of them. And it was like, can you do this forever? And I didn't know what forever meant, and I didn't know what this meant, but I was like, can I help people and tell people about Jesus? Yeah, I can do that. And from then until now, I couldn't tell you how I got here. I think if you try to write it down, if you try to take credit for what God has already done or is doing or how he does it, if I were to try to capture that in a book, that's taking a lot of credit for things I had no part of.
Yeah.
Right? Like when people are like, well, how about Evansville? How about this? How none of it. It all sounds like a train wreck if I tell you the story as a story format. But that's just God's way of tumbling forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that, to get into ministry, I don't know how I got into ministry. I said yes, and I haven't stopped. So I want to quit any day. So, any day I might get there. You don't know.
It's beautiful in Evansville this time of year.
Yeah.
But you had a really good story on Sunday about the board and milk family, about how, people don't decide necessarily to go into the ministry, but they're chosen. And so what he talked about on Sunday was the family of the board and milk company. The son went to Yale and had the opportunity to take over the family business, which is, I think, valued around $1 billion now.
Yeah.
And he told the family no. He said, I'm going to go overseas and minister and not take over the family business, which was worth millions and millions at that time, in the 1900s.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, incredible. So the second part of that question, I want to know more about the concept of the hills. So we touched on how you got over 3,000 people. So, I mean, that doesn't just happen. Obviously, God plays a hand in that. But talk about, I guess, how you guys came up with the concept and the idea behind it. I know you have a playground area, soccer fields outside. People can use the facilities for free for birthday parties.
Yep. So, the art of being creative and having ideas is just concealing your source. So that's what we did. We concealed where we stole the idea from. The idea was taken from a church called 242 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They had laid out this community center concept, and at one point they were the fastest growing church in America. So we drove up there, we saw what they had done, and I was like, man, this is a church that is never empty. Like, it's got soccer fields in it. Like, to get to their worship center, you have to cross a soccer field. Then you have to cross a playground. And I was like, how cool is this that a church isn't empty? And so I was like, what if we just built a smaller version of this and said, well, we only really need it here, right? But is the whole point an ecosystem for collaboration with the community? I want the community to feel at home.
Yeah.
And before I invite them, they've already come. So we average on a weekend 18 birthdays, right? That's every weekend.
Yeah.
Right? So they're free, right? We charge you $50 if you don't show up. Everything else is free. All right. So the idea is we serve you. We don't expect you to, pay for anything. You can bring in your own food, you have to pay for nothing. We clean up after you. We don't expect you to clean up after yourself. This is our house. You've been invited in. You're a guest. We want you to feel welcome.
Yeah.
And so the building is always open to the community. I mean, that building changes hands faster and does more things. It's a tool.
It is.
And it's not just a tool for the perfect. It's, I love that foster families are able to come in there. I love that they've got a safe place to bring their kids. I love that parents who are separated right now, from their kids, they're having their meetups there. All of our people are trauma trained and ready, and it's just a safe environment, and for kids and parents, and, the idea is to continue to explode that ecosystem to get it more and more palatable to the community and a blessing. Like, before we build the next thing, I really do want to have like a billboard that says, what do you want to see built here? I saw a church do that, and they just put a text number, and whatever the number one and number two idea was, they put it inside their building. And I was like, let's do that. Let's see what the community wants, and
Yeah.
let's just bless their socks off and be like, okay, we'll build what you want. We'll build what we need around that.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's a good concept. What'd they end up building?
so that one built an indoor soccer field, and they needed indoor baseball, like batting cages.
Okay.
So they built them. Literally, you have to cross them to get to the worship center. Like it's grass.
I'm pretty sure Molly will text that and say, I want free childcare.
Yeah,
8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
one of the things we've been working on, and it's hard because childcare is a real premium here in this city.
Yeah.
Like it's tough, and they're really expensive, and there's some great places doing it. I've had a heart, haven't found the right partner yet, but as soon as we can find the right partner to go, hey, I want to offer one for low income families that's subsidized, I'm in.
That's a good idea.
Because I want to target, you know, those people who need help don't get the right help.
Yeah.
You know, and the church is just a big hospital, man. That's it.
Broken
a hospital
people.
for broken people, and sometimes they leave broken, sometimes they leave healed. You know, if you need a return visit, then you come back.
There's 4 services to choose from.
Yeah. 4 terrible options by which you can come. They get a little bit more palatable as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good. We try to go to the 8:30 one on, or 8 o'clock one on Sundays.
8 o'clock's probably the best time if you just want a normal church experience. 9:30 is a terrible experience.
Yeah. That's when you let your anger out in the parking lot.
That's just where people are, you know, flipping each other off in the parking lot, and you know, it doesn't seem very Christian.
On their way
at all.
in is when they're flipping off because they leave a changed person.
Right. But, you know, they did pray and they did worship that day, so God will forgive them, I
And
guess.
at the end of the service, you always give you peace. So I mean, they should leave with peace.
They're not getting that peace.
Not getting that
It's not taken. By the time they get to the parking lot, it's over.
It's gone.
It's out.
See you next Sunday.
Yeah.
So how many volunteers does the Hills have for 3,000 people with 18 parties or birthdays on weekends?
Yep.
How do you even manage all that?
So for a normal service, it takes 110 volunteers to pull off
For one service.
for one service. So we're going through 440 for the weekend. Now, obviously, people are repeat offenders, and they're
Yes.
doing it over and over again.
Parking lot crew.
Right.
Yeah.
The asphalt apostles, as we call them. You know, but, you know, there's always new people coming in, and really the longevity, you know, you kind of set a timer in your mind that the first time somebody starts volunteering, you give yourself 2 years, and, you know, 2 years is kind of the exit mark. That's kind of like what you see in the lifeblood
Okay.
of a church, that people are like, I got 2 years in me, man, of like really doing this. Then you've just kind of exhausted that person.
Yeah.
And they're like, you kind of need to move on and find somebody else. Don't ask me again.
400, I mean, 3,000, you know, we got plenty of opportunities out there for volunteers.
You got to keep, you know, everybody, and everybody's got to feel like they're owning something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can't come in, if you solve every one of their problems, they're not going to want to do that job. You know, if they're like, hey, you know, my job is to wave at you, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So that ownership is what gives people that drive to keep coming back.
Yeah. Before I get to question number 2, so now that we're at so many people, what does the expansion look like to get more people involved? Because I know parking's a little bit of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Got a full nursery.
Yep.
What are we looking for in the future?
The future is complex right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had you asked me 5 years ago, 3 years ago, when we built this building, and somebody was like, well, it'll only be $4 million to add 20,000 square feet more.
Mm-hmm.
I should have done that. You know, now if we're talking about another 20,000 square feet, you're in the $7-8 million range. So it's a cycle. So the next step is going, all right, we know the plans, we have the plans. You don't want to do something that's going to harm the people, right? I can put too much on the backs of a small group of people, and there's 3,000 people, but not all 3,000 are paired into what's happening. So, you know, you have to be smart about when you're asking people to continually to give, because, you know, I tell people we're like a fat man that can't see his feet, right? We'll keep growing, but eventually you're going to top over, right? So I got to grow the shoe size at some point, but who knows, you know, when's the right time to buy shoes? You know, when I look at them, it's like, oh, I used to buy Nikes at $70. Now the Nikes are $170.
Mm-hmm.
You know, should have got them when they were 70. You know, I'll probably look back 2 years from now and be like, hey, 15 million was cheap. I should have done it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's never, and churches is hard. It's not as simple as borrowing money for a church.
Yeah.
Organizations don't loan money to churches. They loan it to individuals. So you're asking Daryl Marin to take out a loan for $25 million. and I don't sleep well at night.
Nope.
You know, right now it's we still owe $9.7 million on what we have.
Okay.
You know, so if I tack on another 15, then I'm definitely not going to sleep at night.
No.
So yeah, you don't want to be somebody who's just worried about money all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather have more services than bigger buildings sometimes, or ask people to go to another church.
And then watch when you get home.
You know what? I've heard some really great things about other people in town. You should really try them. You know, pretty selective about who I tell that to, but every now and then I give that motivational speech.
You watch it on YouTube once you get home from the other service, though, after brunch. All right. So, question number 2. So, in your years of ministry and life in general, what are some lessons you've learned or mistakes you've made that you've built on from there?
Yeah. I would say 27 years, there's 2 things that everybody, myself included, constantly forget. One is we get away from the basics. Like, you know, you don't start your day off with prayer. You don't teach your team to pray. You don't teach the church to pray. And that's more rampant than people think it is. I think if you were to ask the average pastor, I think they pray like 30 minutes a week. You know, and so one of the things my boss taught me really young was to start every day, require all your people to be in the same room to pray with you. And that's what we do. Every day at 8:30, our staff prays from 8:30 to 9:30. I literally pay them to pray, you know, to make sure that our prayer time is first and foremost. And it's easy to get away from that. It's easy to be like, oh, we got to meet with this person, that person. The second thing is sometimes churches think that they can dictate culture, right? Like I get to determine, you know, like how people feel, or like I have so much influence. You really have to, your message can never change, right? The message is timeless, but your methodology has to evolve, right? I have to evolve our methodology, not the message. That is timeless. That is never going to change. I don't get to rewrite the Bible, but I have to change the methods all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's hard, you know, because, you know, when I started, I was 20. I'm about to be 47. I don't remember much. I feel like I remember what it was like to be 20, but I don't know what it feels like to be 20 now, you know. And so to reach that person, I have to learn new methods, and be willing to change. You can't get married to anything. Yeah. You know, there are no sacred cows. You got to be willing to melt anything down to start over. So that's tough. As churches and every, you know, if you look in one service, you got somebody in their 80s, you got somebody in their 50s, 30s, 20s, you know, and then 10. You got 5 generations sitting there. And none of them hear the same thing when I talk, right? I'm saying the same words, but they're hearing different things. So, you know, when you're there, that methodology is really tough. So we're speaking to a 32-year-old man. We're unafraid of who we're trying to reach. 32-year-old man who's been divorced. He's got 2 kids. He's got a job where he makes just enough money, right, to make him give up on his dreams. Yeah. Right. And so he's like, I'm kind of stuck in life. And, you know, we're trying to make him, trying to reach him. He's who I'm telling the Bible stories to. He's who I'm preaching at. But I'm also trying to, with the resources that we have, make him the hero of his home. Yeah. You know, on Father's Day, that's why Father's Day is a big deal to us. That's why, you know, the building is the way it is. It has a very masculine feel. And, you know, when people are like, oh, you're trying to reach men, how about women? I'm like, I ask women all the time. I'm like, is it easier for me to get your husband into church or for you to get into church? Would you go to a church that your husband willingly goes to? Or do you want to go to a church you got to drag him to?
That's a good point.
Right. So inevitably they're like, yes. And, you know, if you can get the men to follow Jesus, the likelihood, and it's just a statistic, it can be whatever. But if the man of the home follows Jesus, the odds of the family following Jesus are 90%. If it's just the mom, that number drops down to 40%. Wow. Right? So we're very, you know, we even name him. His name's Anthony, 32 years old. He's a former Catholic, you know, so that's who we're reaching. That to me is the epitome of Evansville.
Trying to find those Anthonys.
Yeah, find Anthony out there and go, you know, Anthony's been taught, like, I listen to that preacher. You know, the preacher tells me what to do. Yeah. And my job is to go, no, I need you, Anthony, to read that Bible for yourself. You grew up in a system that told you not to read your Bible, that it needed to be interpreted for you. Yeah. Right? I need to get you engaged with that thing so that you can change your family. And that, Jesus is easy to fall in love with, right? It's church people that are hard to fall in love with. So my job's just stay out of the way.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure people don't mistake me as some sort of Jesus figure, and that's why, I'm either the butt of my own joke or the stupid person in my own story.
Yeah,
Right.
you are every Sunday.
Right.
There's 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Like, surely he doesn't beat himself up.
That self-deprecating is not, it's not about me going, well, I think I'm dumb. It's me going, just remember, I'm one bad decision away from wherever you're sitting.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not better than you.
No.
I didn't do anything special.
Yeah.
You can say yes tomorrow and God can do some amazing things. But if I made this like there were some crazy levels that I did, I was like, no, dude, I got my job because, the church fell apart.
Yeah.
Nobody won the job.
Yeah.
That's it. It wasn't anything special, And so, people are like, well, what'd you do? I'm like, nothing. I didn't quit. That's it. And people are like, well, you must be doing something, like there's a secret sauce. I'm like, secret sauce is literally pray every day and be honest with people. There's some people you can help and some people you can't help. And we're not for everybody.
No.
I'm not talking, I'm not going to have a service where I'm talking to a 60-year-old person. It's not going to happen. No. Although there are 60-year-olds in there.
There's a lot.
Right. So
you'll say a few jokes, and it's funny because my wife and I will just die laughing, and people behind me, they're like,
oh, yeah, you can't say that.
Yeah.
My wife, I told you this before we started. I said numbnuts the other day. I can't say that. But I said it on a podcast. Yeah. I'm allowed to
cut that.
I'm allowed to say it on a podcast currently. So, again, it goes down to knowing who you're talking to.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to talk to everybody, I'll talk to nobody. I'm trying to be relevant to everybody. If I try to reach everybody, I won't know. But I know when Anthony walks through the door. Yeah. I'm like, that's the target guy. I know that's success. Yeah.
Well, looking for Anthony, you found 3,000 people on a regular basis, so doing something.
I can lose them just as fast. So that's the, everybody is a shiny, nice, pretty thing when it's new. Can you do it for a long period of time? That's a whole different skill set.
Yeah.
So there have been many, and there are amazing churches in Evansville. But we all do this. And so at some point, we're not going to be the shiny, beautiful thing, and change is going to come to my door, and I have to figure out if I've got the moxie to make those hard decisions and be like, yeah, I'll let the people go, the Anthonys that are now 60. Do I still have enough fortitude to look at you and go, hey, Dylan, we've done life together, man, but this ain't about us anymore.
Yeah.
Can we make that hard decision? That's where churches struggle. That's going to happen to me someday.
Not for a while, though.
Maybe not. I might get old tomorrow. Who knows?
Hopefully not.
Yeah, Benjamin Button.
Who?
I don't know.
No, I'm Anthony. I'm 32. I
already told you. I don't know who he is. Okay.
All right. So the third question, and this is probably my favorite one, especially for you. Just general life advice. I don't care if it's for students, for adults, for older people. What do you got for them?
Yeah. So I'll go through 3 different ranges of people. All right. I'll start off with young people, especially young men. Young Anthony. Right. The way Anthony doesn't become Anthony is he doesn't touch a part of a bathing suit. Right. If a bathing suit covers it, you shouldn't touch it. That gets Anthony in trouble at a very young age. Right. So if they make pieces to cover it, stay away. Right, because that's going to lead Anthony astray. He's going to be married before he wants to be married, kids before he has kids, right? And there's natural things that are happening there.
Yeah.
Right? When you're a young guy, people are like, they don't realize that in biblical times, they're getting married at 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
The average age of somebody getting married now is 26. Right? So you're hitting puberty, at 10, 11, right? And back in the day, we were asking you to hold on to that beast for 4 years, right? So you're like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Now, you're holding on to 14 years.
Yeah.
The struggles are still the same. This is not new.
No.
Right? The struggles are the same. So if I tell young people, it's like, hey, man, stay away from anything a bathing suit touches. That's the fastest way to keep yourself out of trouble. If I'm in the second half of my life and I'm 20 to 30, I go, I have to remember I have a family. Right? I think everybody gets married to their mission in life, their assignment in life, And by the time we realize that our kids are grown, it's too late. You know, somebody else raised your kids.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough when you get to that point.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of preachers, myself included, you know, ran into that. You know, I turned around and my kids were 17, 18, and I was like, wow, what have I done?
Happens fast.
I preached to, you know, lots of people, but that, you know, it's like I haven't spent that same time pouring into this guy and that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and in your 20s and 30s, it's easy because, you know, we define success by our paycheck. You know,
Yeah.
bigger paycheck means I'm doing something. Then I realized, man, my kids didn't care about my paycheck.
Yeah.
They just wanted me to be home.
I hear about that a lot.
Yeah. And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing this for you. And they're like,
I just want dad.
yeah, I just want to be with my dad. You know, and so you learn that one a little too late. And then I think in the third stage of my life, you know, I think learning to finish well is something that men really struggle with. I don't know how to do it. You know, I never, you know, especially in ministry, my line of work, it's not done well. We don't know how to exit stage right and go off into the sunset very easily. So I'm trying to come to grips with that. You know, a 55-year-old pastor is an old pastor.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a job after 55. No one's going to take it. That's the magic number. Either you're 55. Once you turn 56, it's over. So you can't start back over at 56. They're not going to give you another option. So you have to learn to exit well and not to take it personally. You know, and go, okay, Jesus died when he was 30. I got, you know, 25 more years in him to tell people about Jesus. And,
Yeah.
You know, and learning to exit well, gracefully, not want to do my own thing and take, you know, be like, well, I built this. Look how great I am. I should do this. I was like, well, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, again, there's nothing I'm doing that anybody else couldn't do. There are much better people suited to do what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm trying to learn right now in that point in my life, trying to figure out how to finish well.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean it's in the next 10 or 12 years or whatever, but, you know, it's still going to take a long term. I didn't think I'd be 47, to be honest. You know, so I woke up, I felt like I was 27 2 weeks ago. You know, woke up at 47, so I'm imagining 67 is going to feel that same way 2 weeks from now. So I better figure out how to close this deal out well and not make this dependent on Daryl.
Yeah. So I still got time then to look for a new church. So you got
plenty
a little bit of time.
Yeah, plenty of time. Everybody's got about 12 years to find a new church before I get too tired.
We can just go back through the recordings from the start date.
Unless we build a bigger building, then, you know, if we can slow down the schedule a bit.
Yeah.
That would be my advice, man. Like, I think life really flies by in the things we care about. You know, there's nobody sitting on their deathbed talking to me about their job. You know, I'm going to miss work. I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
You know, family, parents that have already gone on. You know, I had a reality the other day and it hit me hard, man. Like, I was like, wow, I forgot what my dad's voice sounded like.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I was like, wow, I still don't remember. I was listening to my grandfather's voice. I had it recorded and I was like, I was really trying. And I can't for the life of me remember what my dad's voice sounds. You know, I was like, lost him when I was 18. I was like, that's going to happen to me. You know, my kids are going to forget my voice.
There's so many recordings out there of the podcast. They can watch this.
Yeah, they can come watch this. But yeah, I mean, it's scary to go, wow, you know, the person I idolized, I can't hear him anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to get to see him in heaven. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't help the now.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Does that answer your question? I don't think I answered anything you asked.
No, you did. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Stay away from bathing suit parts.
Yeah. Anything a bathing suit touches, you should before you're married. Then you get a license to take off the bathing suit.
Yeah.
Right. That's
got to be signed by you, though.
Well, or Jesus.
Or Jesus.
Not me. I don't sign anything. I don't sign contracts or wills or anything.
Do you do weddings?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not happy about it if that's what you're asking. I'm not getting married.
No.
So people are like, oh, can you do my wedding? I'm like, no. I mean, what do I get? A chicken dinner out of it? Right, and a couple $100, right? I'd rather be at home.
Yeah. We could just do it instead of birthday parties on Saturday. Free weddings there.
I don't do birthday parties either. You're not going to see me at a birthday party. And if I've done somebody's wedding, it's because they're like, hey, we really do this.
We're out of options.
And they're like, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do your wedding. I don't really want to. And I tell them, I don't like preaching. I certainly don't want to put a suit on
Yeah.
to go stand out in some cornfield.
You'd be like, do you want to marry this numbnuts right here?
I'm like, I don't know, man. This is a long time. I don't even think you guys like each other.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, you sure you want to marry this guy?
Do you do the counseling before weddings ever?
No. So fortunate for everybody, I do not do premarital counseling for. We have got other pastors on staff that do that. They do an amazing job. Nobody really asked me to do their weddings, to be honest.
I think you'd be hilarious.
Well, they don't want hilarity at their wedding.
Well, the wives don't.
Yeah, it turns out that that's not the scenario to be like, hey, did you mean to do that? I did a wedding 2 weeks ago where the bride, she'll kill me. She's on our staff, so you won't ever figure out who she is. Her name's Jocelyn. And,
I knew who she was.
she,
Is her husband's name Anthony?
Huh?
Is her husband's name Anthony?
name's Connor. Well, he fits the mold. But her eyelashes came off mid-communion, and so she blinked and they were down here. And, you know, I'm the wrong person for that to happen to. So I was like, hey, your eyelashes are on your face. She's like, what? I was like, your eyelashes are on your face. And so
Change your staff picture. Website.
So, yeah, I helped her peel them off mid. So that was great.
What a guy.
Yeah. I'm a good pastor.
Yeah, the best pastor. I think that's all I got for you today.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I'll get you some little Debbie cakes. And so usually I say watch for us next week, but in turn, go to the service tomorrow night at 6 or 6:30 tomorrow.
Tomorrow night you won't see nothing. We don't put it online. There's a reason for that.
We'll go to church tomorrow night, or
Daryl After Dark is Thursday night. We don't put that for people to see live.
I tried to find it one time. And I was like,
That you know of. No.
Yeah, I mean, there is a link, but we don't tell people where that link is.
it's in the for the record part.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where it is.
Yeah, for an extra $3.50 a month, you can subscribe to that channel.
Brilliant.
No, it's not.
That'll get us a new edition, though, if we do something.
Yeah, a new edition with that.
That's my own podcast. Here's what I wanted to say that my wife took out of my sermon.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good podcast.
Or stop by and watch live Sunday at the Hills. And then we'll be back next Wednesday, and it'll be posted on Friday with special guests because we have not confirmed them yet. So should be exciting.
All right, take
Peace.
care. Thanks, guys.
Give you peace.
From the river towns to the open road, Southern Indiana stories unfold. Local leaders sharing how they grow. Stories behind success. Real voices with the real stories next. Evansville rising, Southern Indiana strong. Making our region where businesses belong.